For many of these fans, this is a home game. Friends and family moving into the Irish Hills of Michigan for a weekend at the track. No matter where they have come from, and they have come from all over, they're all here for the same reason. It's race day at Michigan International Speedway. It's also a home game for these guys. The distance from the track to downtown Detroit is not measured in miles, it's measured in wins. This week the racing news was made off the track, but today these men hope to make headlines on the track as NASCAR once again comes home to Michigan.
Owner, driver, points leader, defying all expectations, Tony Stewart has stunned the NASCAR world.
The things that he set out to accomplish this year were huge. I personally didn't believe he could get it done. I did not think he would succeed the way he has so far.
Smoke rolled into Pocono on a wave of consistency when late race dramatics threatened to prevail.
They're playing the fuel strategy, hoping they can all hang on. You're just going to have to drop the hammer.
Number 14 held off a storming field to capture his first Sprint Cup victory of the season.
Tony Stewart's going to take that team to victory lane.
Today, it's Michigan, and a new story awaits. It's not just about who has won this season, but who has not. Will this track bend to the will of a favorite, or will the furious pace of this speedway vault an underdog across the line? 43 drivers, 400 screaming miles. This track knows who can compete and who merely stands in its way. The drama is waiting. The NASCAR on TNT Summer Series continues.
And now, race fans, it's time for those most honest words in motorsports. Please welcome back your Grand Marshal, Kid Rock.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
TNT Sports presents the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Today it's 400 miles from the Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. As we've talked about, perfect day for racing and for race fans. 74 degrees, might get a little warmer than that. Just a very, very slight chance of showers later today. Hi everybody, Bill Weber along with Wally Dallenbach and Kyle Petty. Thanks for having us in for the race. 200 miles, 400 laps on some pretty racy surfaces here and some high speeds heading into turn one. It's a blast to drive here, and if you can't be in the car, it's just as much fun to watch.
Hey, everybody comes here and loves this racetrack. All the drivers love this racetrack, and the reason is it's so wide, it's so smooth, and there's about 4 grooves around this place. You can run all over this place. You can get 4 wide on this racetrack, and it's not a problem. And another thing is, it doesn't matter where you qualify. You can qualify all the way in the back, but because there's so much racing room, it doesn't matter. You can work your way up to the front before the first pit stop.
Funny you should mention that. The field qualified here on Friday. Brian Vickers is on the pole, but when you look at the starting grid, there are guys you're going to be watching all over the place as we come to the green.
Yeah, and just as you said, you got to work your way to the front. We've got who? We got Jeff Gordon, we got Mark Martin, we got Junior, we got Carl Edwards, guys that we usually see up front and we think are going to be up front. They're starting at the back. Now up front, we've got Bill Elliott, who absolutely loves this place. We've got John Andretti, who's had a tremendous qualifying effort. He loves this place. And then we've got A.J. Allmendinger. Right. I'm blank on that. Sorry about that. A.J. Allmendinger, who has had great weeks the last couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see. Did these guys just do a special qualifying lap or whatever? Can they stay up there, and can these guys come from the back?
And, of course, we'll have double file restart shootout style from the very first restart until the final lap of the race. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's take you through the starting grid for this afternoon's Sprint Cup Series race here at Michigan. Brian Vickers, third pole of the season. That ties Mark Martin. He's next to Kyle Busch on the front row. Row 2, Jimmy Johnson. Next to David Rudiman, the winner at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. In row 3, Kurt Busch. He's been to victory lane here a couple of times, and you heard Kyle talk about AJ. See how he finishes today. In row 4, Juan Pablo Montoya. He's the defending champ. When we get to Sonoma next week, he's next to Casey Kane. Chevrolet for Clint Boyer in row 5. Next to John Andretti, another Chevrolet. Stephen Lane helping John get a good qualifying lap in. In row 6, last week's winner, Tony Stewart. Next to the Childress Chevrolet for Kevin Harvick. In row 7, Robbie Gordon. Next to Denny Hamlin. There's Bill Elliott. He's back there in row 8. Next to a former Michigan winner, Matt Kenseth. Bobby Labonte and Ryan Newman are in row 9. Back in row 10, Martin Truex Jr., and there's Greg Biffle. And as you look at the rest of the starting grid, Kyle is going to try the radio.
Greg Biffle, this is Cal Petty in the booth. Can you hear me? Greg Biffle, this is Cal Petty in the booth. Do you hear me?
I got you, Kyle.
Hey, this is pretty cool. I got to tell you straight up, man, you're the first guy I've ever talked to from the booth in another race car. Most of the time I scream at other guys when I'm driving my car, but never talk to somebody. But the weather was a little bit warm on Friday, cool yesterday in practice. You guys got your fuel mileage and you're set up ready for today with the sun out and the way it is?
Well, yeah, Kyle, we think the track's going to be a little bit on the slick side today. You know, we know a little bit warmer, about 7 to 10 degrees warmer today, and a little bit of sun on the race surface. So we know it's going to be a little bit slick, and we're just prepared for it. You know, the guys working on the engine, they made a few adjustments, so we'll get a fuel mileage run this first time, this first stint, see how we are in fuel mileage, and hopefully work on our car, work our way to the front, this 3M Ford Fusion.
All right, man, good luck today. Drive it like you drove those cars over to the test track the other day.
I plan on it. Thanks, Kyle.
So Greg Biffle and the rest of the 42 drivers ready to go racing here at Michigan this afternoon. Before we do that, let's check in with Larry McReynolds.
Well, Bill, you just heard Kyle and Greg Biffle talking about how much different this racetrack is today from yesterday. It has lost a ton of grip. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of scrambling in the garage area this morning. But even with that said, we know every time a driver comes to pit road, he'd love to get 4 brand new Goodyear tires. But we also know track position is so important here, and it's hard to pass. So we may see some guys that are starting near the rear have to make a gamble early just to maybe test the waters for possibly late in the race. And I think Ralph Shaheen is with one of those crew chiefs. They qualified 30th, and oh, by the way, a year ago, this team gambled and won the race.
That's right. Lance McGrew, crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car. 2 tires, 4 tires. How will that strategy play out today for you?
Well, I think it really depends on how this AMP Energy National Guard Chevrolet is running. I feel like if we're running strong in the beginning of the race and we're making up spots, they're usually caution around 20 to 30. We'll probably come in and get 4 tires and just keep letting the performance of the car carry us up through the field. Hopefully we won't have to do any tricks with 2 tires to get up there.
Bill, in talking to Lance just a few minutes ago, he was telling me that Junior was very happy with the car at the end of happy hour yesterday. However, Lance didn't have the car where he was happy. So they built a lot of adjustability into the car. So hopefully they can both find a happy median and maybe victory lane today.
Thanks, Ralph. We'll be watching for that. A little over a lap to go before we go green. Some pre-race conversation between Jimmy Johnson and his crew.
Guys, here we go. 200 laps, 400 miles. This is one of those races that really kind of unexpected what's going to happen. We're going to have to watch tire fall off, be prepared for 2 tires, be prepared for a gas to go at the end. You just don't really know what's going to happen at this track. So just be on your toes, guys. Keep your helmets close by. Keep all your equipment ready to go.
The voice of crew chief Chad Knaus. Before we go racing this afternoon, our best wishes to Johnny Benson, involved in an accident last night at Berlin Raceway. We talked to the people from NASCAR. They've been in contact with Johnny's doctors. He does have some broken ribs and perhaps a damaged lung injury, but we understand he's doing a little bit better today. And Johnny, we hope you're watching and feeling better. And everybody here was asking about you and thinking about you today. So our best get well wishes to Johnny Benson. Take a look at the race analysis. 200 laps, pit road speed 55 miles per hour, the pit window 42 to 46 laps. We'll see how they do that with the fuel here if it comes down to that. And Jeff Gordon, Sam Hornish, and Joe Nemechek going to the back of the field. Remember, we will have the double file restarts here this afternoon. Shootout style should make for some added excitement.